Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Yosei Marie Griffiths, and I'm the president of the great institution, Dakota State University. What a great day for the university and for everyone with a connection to this amazing institution. Joining me here on the platform today are Miles Beacom, President and CEO of Premier Bank Card, and his wife Lisa. Governor Dennis Dugard. Bob Sutton, President of the South Dakota Board of Regents. And Mark Ryland, our keynote speaker from Amazon Web Services. We're delighted you're all here for this significant event in Dakota State University's history. And I'd like to acknowledge a few individuals in the audience. First Lady, hold your applause. If we do the lists all the time, it's going to take us forever to finish. So just a few people, and then we can give applause. First Lady of South Dakota, Linda Dugard. Denny Sanford, owner of First Premier Bank and Premier Bank Card. Senator Mike Rounds. Congresswoman Kristi Noem. Members of our state legislature. Members of the South Dakota Board of Regents and board staff, presidents of South Dakota's public universities. I believe former DSU president Jerry Thunheim is here in the audience, and of course Madison Mayor Roy Lindsay. And I know there are many, many more of you, but I just don't have time, I'm afraid, to go through all of you. So let's have a round of applause for everyone. I'd like to begin this celebration with a simple, heartfelt, and well-deserved group of thank yous. This is a historic time on the campus of Dakota State. 3 construction projects. The Beacom Institute of Technology, our first new academic building in 35 years. The renovation of the former Madison Hospital into an ultra-modern courtyard residence hall and learning engagement center, and the remodeling and expansion of the Trojan Center. 3 construction projects within the same city block, within the same year. Who does that? Although I think by now, you all know we're a little mad here at DSU. We have a number of people to thank, and again, I'll ask you to hold your applause until I've acknowledged them all. First of all, thanks to the wonderful individuals and companies who helped get us here today, our donors, Miles and Lisa Beacom and Denny Sanford. More about them in a bit. Harvey Jewett and the Great Plains Education Foundation, Mark Schlanter and his team at SDN Communications, Kevin Wren, Larry D'Onofrio, and Mark Robbins with Fujitsu America, and hundreds of individual donors to the Dakota State University Foundation. Let's give them all a round of applause. Second, we are grateful to those of you who saw the vision and took on one or more of the 3 major construction projects at essentially the same time. Mike Jamieson at Team TSP of Sioux Falls for designing the Beacom Institute of Technology. Mark Kranz from Smith Group JJR for his contributions to the Beacom design. Jeff Koch and Stacy McMahon from Koch Hazard Architects and Trainer Architects for the renovation of the 2nd hospital on this campus into the Courtyard Residence Hall and Learning Engagement Center. Larry Crane at Perspective Inc. and Ratio Architects for creating a new Trojan Center. And of course, our construction manager, the Journey Group. Thanks to CEO Randy Knecht, project manager John Reiser, Beacom Site Superintendent Roger Clevey, Trojan Center Site Superintendent Aaron Bauer, Courtyard Learning Engagement Center Site Superintendent Shane Hammer, and project engineer Tim Lalum. And Larry Cranfield and the talented designers at Canfield Business Interiors. The more than 40 contractors and subcontractors and the numerous talented craftsmen and women who worked on these projects and who've made this dream a reality. And of course, our own DSU staff who shepherded these projects from early idea stages through design and construction to today's completion. I know it wasn't easy at times, but thank you all for bringing your skills and enthusiasm to these impressive conclusions. We know that many of you went above and beyond the call, dealing with circumstances like snow and biting winds, extreme heat and humidity, I know that's just South Dakota, and broken pipes. The results of your perseverance and commitment speak to your abilities and your character. Ladies and gentlemen, please let's show appreciation for all who helped bring these 3 projects to such successful conclusions. I'd also like to thank our official event sponsors for today, First Premier Bank and Premier Bank Card. And I'd like to acknowledge SDN Communications for enhancing our telecommunications capacity for today's event. So you can tweet and Snapchat and send images and do whatever you want, and we should be fine. And then supporting today's events, sort of behind the scenes, we have Madison Police and Fire Departments, Lake County Sheriff's and Emergency Manager, City Dispatch, South Dakota Highway Patrol, Madison Regional Health, Madison High School, Sodexo, Maximum Promotions, Power Promotions, Fox Printing, and Lawrence and Schiller, and an army of volunteers from our Dakota State community. Many, many thanks to you all. The Beacom Institute of Technology is built on the firm foundation of the more than 136 years of this university's history and creates a door to Dakota State's future. The story of this magnificent building starts when the Madison Hospital announced that a new hospital would be built on the other side of town. Miles and Lisa Beacom and Denny Sanford, to honor Miles, a DSU alum, saw the possibility for the expansion of DSU's facilities to accommodate growth, especially its need to incorporate new and emerging technologies into the teaching and learning activities. And to this end, they donated $5 million to initiate the project. Careful consideration of the hospital determined that its structure and layout were not well suited for an academic facility. Instead, a large part of it was ideal for conversion to a residence hall. Over the past few days, students have been excitedly moving into the new courtyard hall, so named because of the unique inner courtyard. The former clinic area of the hospital was not well suited for conversion to student residence rooms, and it's become a new learning engagement center, co-locating formerly dispersed student success and support services. And we're very grateful to the Great Plains Education Foundation for the funds to purchase the former hospital so that we could initiate those renovations. But with the former hospital designated for other purposes, attention turned to the design of a new academic building with cutting-edge form and function that includes state-of-the-art classrooms, hands-on teaching labs, a variety of collaboration spaces, the ability to move to new technologies as needed, and a stunning aesthetic inside and out. Tomorrow, in the Beacom Institute, we will start teaching 30 semester-long classes with total enrollments of 686 students, and that's just about 85% of this building's capacity. But we didn't design the building just for tomorrow. We designed it for the long term with maximum flexibility, intending the design to both support and stimulate innovations and advances in teaching and learning over time. This 31,000 square foot Beacom Institute of Technology makes a powerful visual statement for all who see this campus. We have the historic East Hall on one side of the street and the new Beacom Institute on the other, a reflection of our heritage and signature missions, that we honor our past and link it to the future, representing a trajectory of impact that we're working to ensure considers long time into the future. So from the earliest idea for a modern facility to today's celebration of the Beacom Institute of Technology, we owe a significant debt of gratitude to Miles and Lisa Beacom and Denny Sanford. And now I'd like to invite Governor Dennis Dugard to offer a few remarks.
Thank you very much. Thank you, President Griffiths. It was June of last year when Linda and I were here with you and with Miles and Lisa and Randy Schaefer and so many others to break ground for this great facility. It was a great day for Dakota State, and today is even more exciting as we cut the ribbon and open the doors. What a great day for Dakota State University. Dakota State University has such talent in information technology, and it's no accident. In 1984, a forward-looking South Dakota legislature assigned to Dakota State University a mission within the state university system to deliver leading-edge, technology-intensive degrees. This mission change had a tremendous impact on South Dakota. More than 3 decades later, Dakota State has emerged as a national cyber leader. But don't take my word for it. Indicators of this leadership role include 4 National Security Agency and Department of Homeland Security designations, a Center of Excellence for Information Assurance Education, a Center of Excellence for Information Assurance Research, a Center of Excellence for Cyber Operations, the most technical of these centers, one of only 16 in the nation, and a National Consultation Cyber Defense Regional Resource Center, one of only 4 in the nation. DSU is the only university in the country selected by the National Cryptological School for National Security Agency military and civilian employees to complete their bachelor's or master's degrees in cyber operations. Dakota State has the United States' largest cohort of the National Science Foundation Gen Cyber Camps for middle school and high school students. Dakota State is home to the nation's largest cohort of National Science Foundation Cyber Corps Scholarship for Service recipients. The list goes on and on. It's something more people need to know, especially those looking for a quality education with something that has value in the marketplace. Within a total enrollment today of over 3,100 students, Dakota State's College of Computing now has over 1,000 students, with about half in cybersecurity, a 23% increase in just the last 2 years, and half in computer science. Again, a 20% increase in just the last 2 years. Placement rates are over 90% for these graduates, with starting salaries ranging from at least $40,000 to as much as $82,000 for beginning work. These salaries do not include cyber core graduates, many of whom start at salaries in the high 80s to low 90s. Nor does it include graduates hired by top employers such as SDN. A recent cyber core graduate, for example, who worked at the National Security Administration for a few years and then pursued his master's degree, took a position in the private sector for a salary of $240,000. Average starting salaries for College of Computing graduates here have increased 24% over the previous year. The Beacom Institute of Technology is a worthy symbol of the excellence of Dakota State's offerings and expertise in information technology, and this wonderful facility will help begin to spread the awareness of Dakota State's superiority. Congratulations to everyone involved in this wonderful project. Special thank you to you, Denny Sanford, and to you, Miles and Lisa Beacom, and everyone who helped make this project a reality. Bravo.
And we thank you, Governor, for your ongoing commitment to and support of education in South Dakota. Now I invite Bob Sutton, President of the South Dakota Board of Regents, to offer some remarks.
Good afternoon. Governor Dugard, Senator Rounds, Representative Noem, President Griffiths, and all others gathered here today. It is an incredible day for Dakota State University. Now, to any prospective students out there, I just want you to know it is glorious and beautiful in Madison today, and this is what it's like every single day of the year. So if you're interested, you can still enroll for classes starting tomorrow. It'll look just like this on February 1st, I promise. Miles and Lisa Beacom and Denny Sanford certainly know how to make things happen. The state-of-the-art Beacom Institute of Technology is not only a lasting legacy named in honor of a distinguished Dakota State alumnus, but also a shining example of what the future of Dakota State University looks like. The blending of a modern facility equipped to serve the many technological needs of a millennial generation with the rich historic tradition of this institution would certainly be looked upon favorably by General Beadle and thousands of DSU graduates and supporters. The future for Dakota State University is extraordinarily and exceedingly rich. Without the generosity and support of the Beacoms and Mr. Sanford, this project, this campus, and our great state, the Beacom Institute of Technology would not be a reality. On behalf of the South Dakota Board of Regents, please accept our most sincere thanks. The capital needs of our campuses are increasingly dependent on public-private partnerships, and on several occasions in multiple locations, you, Denny, Miles, and Lisa have stepped up and answered the call. You are nothing short of remarkable. The pioneers of a bygone era settled the Northern Plains with great hope and tremendous courage. The same pioneer spirit is alive and well here today as the Beacom Institute of Technology represents a significant move forward for Dakota State University and the entire state of South Dakota. We are rising into new and rarefied air in the immense world of technology. It is indeed a great day for Dakota State, the community of Madison, the state of South Dakota, and in fact, anywhere in our nation where a young girl or young boy dares to dream of growing up to study cutting-edge technology in a cutting-edge facility. Congratulations to all involved in making this day and this project a reality. And thank you to Miles and Lisa Beacom and Denny Sanford. Thank you.
Thank you, Regent Sutton, all the regents and the board staff who spend a lot of time and attention to ensure a strong, relevant, and cost-effective system of public higher education across South Dakota. I now invite Miles Beacom, DSU alumnus, class of 1981, to share some thoughts with us.
I would like to personally welcome everyone on this historic day, and it's a historic day for Dakota State University, Madison, and for South Dakota. It's hard to believe that it was 40 years ago this month that my brother, Dan, talked me into going to Dakota State. And it was also 40 years ago this month that I walked into Richardson Hall to obtain my first dorm room. My sophomore, junior, and senior year, I was an RA on 4th floor, and I'd look out onto the campus from my dorm room. And now from that dorm room, you'd see the Beacom Institute of Technology. I would never have imagined in my wildest dreams that I would be standing here in front of each of you on this historic day. I do need to recognize a few people. Things like this historic event do not happen by accident. They happen because of the team that you surround yourself with. We have a great team here today. Dr. Griffiths, she has been an incredible leader for Dakota State University. We are so fortunate to have her and her husband Don at DSU. Let's give them a round of applause. Governor Dugard, his commitment for Dakota State and higher education and all that he does for our great state. Thank you, Governor. Senator Rounds and Representative Noem, for all that they do not only for South Dakota, but for our great nation as well. Thank you. And Mayor Roy Lindsay, let's give him a round of applause. This community is changing. I've had the opportunity to be president and CEO of Premier Bank Card for the past 25 years, and we truly value people within our organization. First, I need to recognize Denny Sanford. He could be doing a lot of other things with his money, but he loves South Dakota, and he continues to invest in South Dakota. I don't know anyone that has changed the landscape in South Dakota like Denny Sanford. Thank you, Denny. As I said, things like this don't happen by accident, and I need to introduce a few of my coworkers at Premier. And if I could have you just stand up and hold the applause until we're done, but the CEO of First Premier Bank, Dana Dykhouse, the President of First Premier Bank, Dave Rosenboom, Dave Kolodjezi, Dave Giever, Lisa Gerner, Mike Halverson, Jim Harenga, Kathy Heineman, Ron Houston, Jeff Hurley, Susan Peterson, Tom Schmidt, Fran Chupick, Sandy Soylan, Bob Van Leer, Dan Zerfus, Mike Abraham, Brenda Bethke, Dave Knudsen, Brad Lind, Ray Moreland, Daryl Schmidt, Dale Dauberpool, Dave Zimbeck, and Greg Honnold. Plus that, we have over 2,300 employees within the Premier family. Any other employees that are here from Premier, please stand up and be recognized as well. Next, my best friend, girlfriend, and wife. How's that? All three in one. Lisa. A very special lady that I love very much. Beautiful daughters, Allie, Aaron, and Ashley, and son Iman, please stand up. My mother, Joanne, mother-in-law, Jan, and the entire Beacom Rice Show family, if you could please stand up and be recognized as well. They have stood with me through thick and thin, and they've been my greatest supporters my entire life. And then we have a lot of friends that are up here as well. And the incredible impact on us that each one of them have. It means the world to us that you took time out of a beautiful day to come and celebrate this historic day here in Madison, South Dakota. As a student, I have a lot of great memories going back to cross country, track. You look at the late nights in the game room, shows, slides, and of course, Bill walking his clothing back up into the dorm all the time. But just as important, it was Dakota State faculty and coaches that not only provided me with a great education, but more importantly, they inspired me to chase my dreams and to believe in myself. I need to name a few of the faculty that truly did have an impact on me. Teagarden, Ryan, Blakely, Reed, Van Erdwick, Swanson, Farrell, and Eaton, just to name a few. These are great people that truly cared about the students. Today, my family and I are honored to be part of this amazing future and what lies ahead for this great institution. This institution not only provides unmatched faculty and staff that care about students, they are passionate about providing the best innovative programs to help young people chase and achieve their dreams, now that we have a state-of-the-art facility to go with this. It's surprising the accomplishments that Dakota State has continued to make. And you heard a number of those from Governor Dugard. But DSU has 4 NSA and Department of Homeland Security Academic Centers of Excellence designations. That's pretty impressive. DSU offers more than 40 technology-intensive or technology-infused majors to choose from. DSU students are gaining national recognition. This spring, the university saw its first Goldwater Scholar and first Google Woman Tech Maker Scholar. DSU Gen Cyber camps are gaining national and worldwide attention while impacting hundreds of 7th through 12th grade students each year. The university's pioneering efforts in the area of cybersecurity are unmatched in this country. The future looks incredibly bright, and my family and I would be proud and honored to be part of it. Thank you to Dr. Griffiths and the incredibly talented team of faculty and staff who are leading our young people into the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Miles, for showing us what true leadership is. You've turned your dreams into successful accomplishments and extended the impact of those accomplishments through generous philanthropy that will inspire current and future generations of students. And now it gives me great pleasure to welcome to Dakota State University our keynote speaker for today, Mark Ryland. Mark comes to us from Amazon Web Services, where he's Director of Solutions Architecture and Chief Architect for the worldwide public sector team. Mark leads a team of technology architects and engineers who work with government, education, nonprofit, and non-governmental organizations around the world. He's an expert in distributed systems, networking, cybersecurity, and identity and access management. He's integrally involved in the fast-developing Amazon Web Services cloud platform, especially ensuring that public sector requirements are given priority in Amazon's plans and services. In other words, Mark is at the cutting edge of technology skills and advancements that students will be learning in their classes in the Beacom Institute. It's a testimony to the importance of the Beacom Institute and what it will enable for our students that Mark is here with us today. Please welcome Mr. Mark Ryland to the podium.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's great to be here. Again, my name is Mark Ryland. I'm the Chief Architect for the Public Sector team. Sometimes they call me Chief Geek. And I have prepared remarks, which I'll mostly follow, but I just want to really reflect on what a great event this is, and really also to maybe not to focus too much on myself here, but I really have one of the greatest jobs in the world. I get to talk to people around the globe around cutting-edge technology, be part of these big changes, and it's really exciting to be here. A month ago, I was in Singapore talking to an internal team there about virtual networking and software-defined networks. 2 weeks ago, Bogota, Colombia, Lima, Peru, talking to government officials there and giving a speech at a e-government conference in Lima. And just last week at the National Science Foundation with an organization, they're dealing with cybersecurity issues. It's fantastic to be part of an industry like this with so much going on, and fantastic to be part of a community like this that's really preparing leaders for tomorrow. So as Chief Geek, I may say a few things here today that might be a little on the technical side, and I hope the folks that don't get those points, I apologize. You can kind of gloss over those parts, but hopefully there'll be enough here that will keep us interested, and we'll continue on with this wonderful celebration. I'm really excited to be here because Dakota State University and the Beacom Institute of Technology, we represent and embody an emerging focal point for our society. And I mean specifically that where we have been, where we are, where we're going with digital technology, and of course, the protection of those technologies with cybersecurity. In the past several decades, we have witnessed the rapid growth of innovation, impacting and reshaping the way in which we operate in almost every respect of life, every aspect of life. But key to that innovation has been the way we use, process, analyze, and store data. So information technology, or what we sometimes call IT, has been really the key enabler behind almost all of the important innovations in our society in the past few decades. And that will only continue. Traditionally, though, organizations and individuals in need of information technology have required not only skilled labor, but also sometimes very significant financial investments to acquire the hardware and the software needed to build and maintain the systems and run those with adequate capacity. The capacity needed by an IT system, though, is sometimes very hard to estimate in advance. And so for years, we've struggled with this problem that we buy and provision systems. Sometimes and often those systems are underutilized, so we're wasting money, energy, labor on building and maintaining those things. And then sometimes when you need them the most, those information technology systems, when there's a sudden demand, they don't work properly because the demand exceeds the capacity And this has been a huge problem for our industry. I'll give you one example. The Transport for London is a governmental organization that provides the citizens and decision makers in the city information about the city bus services, trains, transport, roads, and so forth. And on an average day, their system, reporting back to citizens and to other decision makers in the city might run at a certain level of usage, let's say, 10,000 users per hour or something like that. But occasionally, it snows in London. Doesn't happen often, but it does occasionally. And when that happens, the demand on that system literally increases 100-fold. So 100 times as many people are trying to access their website, their mobile app, and so forth as in a normal day. And historically, the system would consistently fail every single time when it was most needed. Using the cloud technology, which we'll be talking about today, as part of a larger discussion about advances in technology, they're now able to ride out those peaks, provision dynamically the capacity they need, and then scale back down and not waste money when they don't need them. So you could also think of it this way. Cloud technology democratizes access to technology. Small teams and organizations for the first time have access to the kinds of state-of-the-art technology and IT services at a scale that not long ago was restricted only to very large and well-funded organizations. So what does all this mean for South Dakota, for Dakota State and the Beacom Institute? Because of these developments, we're seeing major shifts and new demands in the job market, as well as the need for constantly evolving research in computer science and engineering. It is imperative that we empower individuals, like students here at Dakota State University, with the resources and learning to develop the skills needed to meet this burgeoning demand across the U.S. and the global economies. The Beacom Institute is exactly the type of institution that we need to help our society to face this future and to thrive. It represents the type of resources and investments companies like Amazon most value, empowering individuals to be disruptors, innovators, to have bias for action, and to create and forge new ways to deliver goods, services, and solutions for our everyday lives. Now, I should say here in the early part of my remarks that while I represent Amazon Web Services, I also really represent a new form of information technology that has grown up around some of the original cloud innovations, AWS. So while I'll be using examples from Amazon, please recognize that what we're talking about here is really a much broader set of industry trends, trends that we're proud to be part of, but that are much bigger than a single organization. But that said, I think the story of Amazon and AWS is a good way to examine and understand some of these large-scale changes going on in the industry. So what about Amazon? So why is a bookseller up here talking to you about IT? If you think about the history of Amazon, it's always been very focused on invention and innovation on behalf of customers. And that's how we started and how we continue to thrive. We're constantly investing to build our business into many different markets. Our customers serve as a foundation for everything we do, and I recommend that we all adopt this idea of really looking for the needs of customers, meeting those needs, and that's how we drive innovation. We like to say at Amazon that we are customer obsessed. So by listening to our customers, we have transformed our business from what started as an online e-retailer, a bookstore, effectively, into a multifaceted company touching and supporting a variety of industries, whether it is retail, where we serve hundreds of millions of active customers and third-party sellers around the globe, to devices, where we're inventing new capabilities in the realm of consumer electronics, like the Amazon Echo, powered by the Alexa voice service, to media, where we're creating original movie and television content, to web services, where we enable organizations to leverage cloud technology. We're moving to innovate across a wide range of technologies and markets. Now, my reference to Alexa, how many people know about Alexa and the Echo? Raise your hand. Good, that's a good smattering of people. It's a really important element, I think, of that story that I think is worth drawing out. Amazon not only invents for its end users, but also tends to build platforms that it shares them with a broader community of business and government and education, so that hundreds and thousands of other entities can then benefit from some of these innovations. So, for example, take the e-commerce platform that we all know. That not only powers the Amazon retail, our business, but it also serves as the basis for a vast third-party seller business. There are literally half of the transactions that occur, or there's items that are sold on Amazon.com are sold by third parties, not by Amazon itself. Millions of sellers utilize that platform and transact tens of billions of dollars of business each year. Now let's take this more recent example of the Echo and Alexa. So Echo is the voice-enabled device from Amazon that delivers the services of the Alexa voice platform. But the Alexa service is an open platform available to other companies as well. And now many other devices and related services utilizing Alexa have sprung up. Some of them actually compete directly with the Echo device, which is great. Together, they serve a range of customers, all based on this highly customizable and extensible platform, and the machine learning that powers the platform actually gets better and better the more these devices are used. So speaking of platform technology, let's come back now to Amazon Web Services, where I work, in our cloud platform. I'm sure most of you know, of course, Amazon.com, a great provider of services to consumers around the world. But you may not know that some time ago, we really invented this whole technology market of so-called infrastructure as a service, so cloud computing as a way to acquire IT services. How did this come about? Well, after about a little over a decade of building and running the highly scaled e-commerce applications that powered Amazon.com, as well as the vast number of back-end systems that enabled the complex supply chain and distribution systems behind that, we realized that we had developed a core competency in operating IT infrastructure at massive scale, building and running data centers, and all the things that go with that in terms of networking and power contracts and everything required to run large-scale IT systems. So from there, we embarked on this other mission, a broader mission to empower a new customer segment, namely software developers, IT professionals, and the businesses and institutions that they support with a platform of cloud services that they can use, which allow them with a simple API call to stand up and utilize servers, storage, databases, all the things that you would normally take weeks, if not months or years to acquire and build in a physical environment. So if you fast forward to today, 11 years later, AWS is a global organization serving a global customer base. We're the fastest growing multi-billion-dollar IT company in the industry, and we have millions of active customers in over 190 countries. Our customers are individuals, businesses, startups, established enterprises, governments, educational institutions like this one, not-for-profits, every kind of organization you can imagine, all leveraging the cloud to deliver innovative and exciting goods, services, and content. So what exactly is this cloud? Well, I can't really give you a precise definition in a short amount of time, but you can think of it as actually 16 locations around the globe, what we call regions, and with plans to launch 5 more in the coming months that have already been announced, and of course many more beyond that. In each region is a set of capabilities in a metropolitan area where we build and run infrastructure, and our customers access that through software-defined interfaces. Rather than one giant cloud, you can think of it as a sort of federation, 16 different clouds all working together, highly independent from one another, so customers have control about where their data is placed. We never migrate data without explicit customer requests. There's one AWS region that we sometimes don't talk about in a public setting. It's not technically secret, however, and I want to mention it here because of the special relationship here at Dakota State with the National Security Agency. AWS is honored to serve the U.S. intelligence community in a very unique way. In 2013, we were awarded a contract called the Commercial Cloud Services, C2S, under which we built and now operate a full AWS region designed and accredited to run top secret workloads for the U.S. government. This has been a very successful project. The CIO of the Central Intelligence Agency, John Edwards, spoke at our conference in June of this year, and he said, quote, "This is the best thing we've ever done for IT in our community." It's very exciting to think that in the future, on our campus here, you will have students that will be able to work in the classified systems, and that's very exciting. So I've talked a lot about cloud, but what else beyond that? And I want to argue that and make the case that cloud is the foundation for a wide range of emerging technologies, such as information such as Internet of Things, machine learning, et cetera. Cloud provides the compute and storage, the rich connectivity, the big data analytics, all on a pay-per-use basis that allow you to build out these new technologies, even those that don't actually run on the cloud. Let's take a look at a couple of these technologies. And so let's start with what's called artificial intelligence, and a special emphasis these days on a branch of that field, which we call machine learning. These concepts are already being used in a wide array of goods and services, all the way from more traditional IT type services, all the way to entirely new fields like precision medicine, precision agriculture, self-driving cars and trucks, smart city technology, and some totally new area that some inventors dreaming up right now as we talk this afternoon that we don't even know about yet. We already see how AI can benefit people in society in economic fields such as diverse as healthcare and transportation and environment, construction, agriculture. Here's an example. Researchers at Stanford University recently developed a project called the automatic grading of eye diseases through deep learning. This project analyzed over 80,000 eye images to quickly and cost-effectively identify precursors to blindness caused by diabetic retinopathy. So after building and training the model with this massive compute power available on the AWS cloud, the resulting inference engine is relatively small. It can be deployed on small devices like digital cameras. These researchers plan to deploy their solution on cameras that are widely accessible to primary care doctors, pharmacists, and even patients. So monitoring becomes ubiquitous, regardless of income level or access to advanced medical care. With early warning, surgical intervention happens sooner and becomes safer and more effective, improving the chance of saving patients' sight. Well, what about the IoT platform? We have this IoT platform, the Internet of Things, that powers the billions of devices that people want to connect up to powerful back-end systems. These devices provide sensor data, in some cases receiving operational commands coming back from the cloud. Software developers can far more easily deploy and manage these systems and write the applications for devices using features like device shadows, rules engines, analytics, and other functionality. One example, John Deere utilizes the AWS IoT platform to power their new generation of smart agricultural machinery. Using this type of IoT sensors and the precise measurements and the analytics in the cloud, they can provide better crop yields with fewer seeds, less water, fewer pesticides. What's not to like about that? So the last kind of main part of my remarks are about security. So this cloud sounds all well and good, but what about security? With new models and new abstractions in an industry like ours, people unfamiliar with it may wonder if it can provide the critical cybersecurity needed that we clearly need for building our next generation of information technology. And I want to argue that the answer is an unequivocal yes. The cloud can be a major factor in improving our cyber posture overall. And this is not just our opinion. I mean, we're a vendor. You don't have to believe what we say, but a perspective validated by some of our largest and most sophisticated customers. Here's a couple of examples. Tony Scott, who until recently was the CIO of the United States government, had this to say, and I'll quote, "I see the big cloud providers in the same way I see a bank." Nice analogy there. They have the incentive, they have the skills and abilities, and they have the motivation to do a much better job of security than any one company or any one organization can probably do. I think today the better bet is to get to the cloud as quick as you can, because you're almost guaranteed to have better security there than you will be able to in anything private that you can do on your own. Here's one more quote from Rob Alexander, CIO of Capital One Bank. "The financial services industry attracts some of the worst cyber criminals. We work closely with AWS to develop a security model which we believe enables us to operate more securely in the public cloud than we can even in our own data centers." So I could go on and on about security and some of the reasons for that. That probably is a part of the talk that would cause lots of eyes to gloss over, so I'll skip some of that and really just cash it out by saying, giving one very precise example of a service that we launched just Monday of last week, so just 7 days ago. And this is a service called Amazon Macy. Macy is a service which, with your permission, analyzes the data that you store in the cloud and actually uses machine learning algorithms to automatically discover, classify, and then protect the sensitive data in the S3 storage service, the Amazon storage service. We had a lengthy beta test period so that, again, because it's machine learning, the more data it has, the more accurate it is. And through that period, training those models, developing that technology, now when we launch the service, because it's driven by machine learning, it actually gets better and better the more you use it. So this is a brand new service that will help protect our customers and make sure that they're aware both of data they've stored that's not properly protected or unusual access patterns for people that do have the right to access the data, something that is an indication of compromised credentials or some kind of insider threat. So summarizing the security point, cloud technology is and will continue to be a major positive force in our joint efforts to improve cybersecurity. Of course, it is not magical. It still requires a well-trained workforce skilled in the proper configuration and use of cloud services. That's where Dakota State and the Beacom Institute come in. But by significantly reducing the surface area, the number of things that security professionals need to worry about, and providing built-in security tools that allow users to more easily accomplish the tasks that they need to accomplish that are very difficult, some of which are very difficult in physical and on-premises systems. Cloud really can be a rising tide, if we do our jobs right, that lifts all cybersecurity boats. So again, I have the privilege of working with public sector customers around the globe. We work with customers in governmental agencies, educational institutions, not-for-profits, all of which are facing unique challenges. Being asked to accomplish increasingly complex missions with shrinking resources. And when it comes to information technology, public sector customers really need to accomplish more, do it more rapidly with less money. Not an easy thing. But sometimes these large technology shifts, these mega trends, can be the answer and help solve these problems that seem sometimes intractable. And the use of public technology in public sector is turning out to be one of those things, those disruptive changes that takes technology used by your favorite startups, companies like Airbnb and Netflix, all using AWS, but now being applied to governmental problems and problems of education and research institutions. I could give many examples of great customer stories, and it's really a privilege to work with customers like, for example, the Federal Industry Regulatory Authority, FINRA, who regulates all broker-dealers in the United States. And they've moved all of their analytics platforms onto the AWS cloud, petabytes of data, running tens of thousands of virtual machines every day with different giant cluster compute jobs. All of this, and again, quotes from their CIO about how they now feel more comfortable about their cyber posture than they did in their physical data centers. Customers like Berkeley Amp Lab, we worked with very closely over the 5-year period in which that computer science lab, a cutting-edge lab, was doing very innovative research in distributed systems, all of it done on the AWS cloud. We get to work with the MOOC platforms. Anyone know what a MOOC is? Massive online courseware programs. So for example, edX, which is a joint venture of MIT and Berkeley, which provides open source courseware to people around the world. You can take the one of the engineering 101 courses from MIT, just a browser and internet access. And so literally they have hundreds of thousands of people enrolled in these top types of curriculum. And you have students in the middle of Africa with no access to advanced education now that are actually studying course materials developed by some of the top engineers and scientists in the world. These are massive changes that are going on and really enabling some really powerful things to happen. And it's really great to be part of that. One specific example, and this is a little geeky, but it's the big change going on in the area of high-performance computing. So high-performance computing, traditionally was something that you could either buy a relatively expensive but small cluster run in your local data center, or you could obtain time on the government-subsidized supercomputing centers. So there are a number of supercomputers available to researchers. Supercomputers, however, are very expensive resources that need to be kept busy. To keep them busy, the administrators utilize a job queue, which means you put your compute job into a queue, you wait until there's time, and then hours or sometimes even days later, your job runs and you get results back. Now, these jobs, depending on your affiliation, the priority of your work, might write sooner, might run later, but the problem is, if you're a software developer, you'll know this, that sometimes the first thing that happens when you run your code is it crashes. So now you get to go back to the beginning of the line and start all over again. Cloud is changing all that. So with cloud, with a pay-as-you-go basis, anyone with a few $100s or a few thousand if you want to run a gigantic cluster has access to millions of dollars of computational hardware to run their computations. Cloud really democratizes HPC, giving either a small school or even like a startup in India with this little seed funding access to the computing power that only the most well-heeled research institutions and government agencies in the past would have had access to. In the cloud, there's no waiting in line. You actually launch your own cluster. You fire up a cluster, run as long as you need it, shut it down. So even if the job you're running takes longer than it might on a supercomputer, some do, some don't, the point is that the time to results is much faster because there's no waiting in line. there's many other benefits we could talk about, from security, because there's more isolation, to software benefits, because each cluster can have a totally different set of packages, versions of software, different ratios between CPU and memory. You can use what are called general purpose GPUs. There's actually a demonstration here in the building of a small computer running what are called GPUs. These have highly parallel processors built in. They were actually originally designed for gaming systems, but turn out to be extremely useful for scientific research. And you can access thousands of those in our cloud platform. We even have a technology which is called a FPGA type, which is a type of hardware where you can actually reprogram the hardware with your algorithms and then run your application, and then when you release this hardware back into the pool of shared infrastructure, that your program gets deleted, but you can actually get hardware acceleration of completely custom software. It's a very powerful concept. To summarize our work then with public sector, we're really still at the beginning of the journey, but we're really proud already to be serving more than 2,300 government agencies, 7,000 educational institutions like this one around the globe, and more than 22,000 not-for-profit organizations. So that's great, but let's get back to why we're gathered here today to celebrate this great launch of the Beacom Institute. We're seeing this great progress in invention and innovation across commercial enterprises as well as public sector. But in order to continue to make that progress, we will need the right skills and the individuals for projects like the ones I've been talking about, whether it's the FINRA analytics, machine learning with our security services, John Deere Precision Agriculture, the Stanford researchers doing precision medicine. We know that these cloud-based skills, along with other technology skills, such as IoT and so forth, will drive the jobs of the future as innovation and automation continue to drive the economy. But of course, we need a workforce skilled in cybersecurity and containerization, enterprise applications, migration, database technology, analytics, you name it, we need it. And when it comes to cyber, the Bureau of Labor Statistics reports they forecast demand in the decade from 2012 to 2022, a growth rate of 37% annual growth rate in the job market for cybersecurity professionals. So really huge opportunities out there. Now, obviously, universities play a crucial role in addressing these needs. They're responsible for educating and training our future workforce, shaping critical ideas that will mold economic and social priorities around the use of technology, and doing some of that core research, which is what drives that. They serve as research centers, think tanks, incubators, and innovation hubs. What students and academics develop on campus often translates into some of the most transformative issues, ideas, and creations for today's society. Universities can indeed set the agenda for America's academic, social, and economic priorities now and in the future. But that curriculum in that educational institution has to be relevant. It has to be comprehensive. It has to develop those transferable skills where students can really have an impact in the marketplace and be poised for success upon graduation. Dakota State University is leading the way in making these types of investments, as we see clearly here today at the opening of the Beacom Institute, along with its existing numerous degree and certification programs in high-demand areas. So in addition to traditional degrees, increasing alternative pathways to the workforce are becoming more widespread. Training programs, vocational training, certification programs can all be offered to students of all ages and all phases of their careers, and to enhance their skills. So one example of this is the Opening Doors Initiative, a positive example initiated by this university to provide students with more options to obtain degrees in technological fields. We at AWS are doing our part in this effort to increase the training in a comprehensive way for our students. We have a platform we call AWS Educate, so that's awseducate.com. It's our global initiative to provide students and educators with the resources needed to accelerate in their cloud-related learning endeavors. It has cloud career pathways that provide students with access to credits, training, and options to choose their desired cloud career. It delivers a personalized path through all these training programs, and upon pathway completion, AWS Educate facilitates connections between course takers and employers. The built-in job board includes entry-level and cloud jobs from global employers and other kinds of organizations. Students can search the job requisition board for a match that will matches their capabilities and the job families and skills that they have acquired on the platform. So with those thoughts, I'd like to bring this to a close. Education and opportunities for learning are really what drive innovation. The Beacom Institute is a huge step forward for education for innovation here in South Dakota and far beyond the borders of the state. It will certainly have an expansive reach and impact outside as future inventors, thought leaders, and disruptors make their way through the forthcoming curriculum and programs. So on behalf of Amazon, I want to thank you for inviting me to be here to be part of the celebration. We at Amazon look forward to being part of the future here at Dakota State University. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you for sharing with us a picture of what's coming for the future, and I hope all the students were listening there. I saw a lot of heads nodding when you started talking about the workforce of the future. We're now going to have a special presentation, and I ask Larry Canfield to come up to the podium.
It's my privilege as a DSU alumni to present this 3D model of the Beacom Institute of Technology created by Anthony Dyke as a gift of our appreciation to Miles and Lisa Beacom, Denny Sanford, for their support in making this happen. Thank you so much for your vision of the future of DSU.
I should let you know, this is a dying art, the building of architectural models like this, because now they do 3D printing of the blueprints. But this is made the old-fashioned way, so the last of a kind. So one more thing. John Sculley, former CEO of Apple, once said, "The future belongs to those who see possibilities before they become obvious." In 1881, when DSU was founded, South Dakota was a wild expanse of plains and hills, not yet even a state in the Union. Where some saw the obvious, others saw possibilities. They decided it was going to require an educated populace and teachers to teach them to harvest the potential of those possibilities, and this institution was established to do so. DSU started as a small place with a big vision. Fast forward to the 1980s, and once again, DSU became the recipient of some remarkably prescient thinking, where some saw a small university facing obvious challenges to its continued existence. A group of South Dakota leaders and legislators saw possibilities. DSU's mission was expanded to be a computing and IT-centric institution focused on developing a tech-savvy workforce for the 21st century. A big vision based on possibilities, not on the obvious. Now here we stand today. We're still small in size, but bigger and bigger in distinction. The extended DSU community has developed this university into an enviable leadership position in the field of cyber. At the same time, across the country, universities an order of magnitude larger than DSU, with much deeper pockets, are scrambling to enter the cybersecurity arena. So today we've come together in celebration of what started as a small idea and evolved into not only a magnificent new state-of-the-art teaching learning facility, but also a new learning engagement center, a new 109-bed residence for students, and a renovated and expanded Trojan Center. Small ideas can lead to much larger outcomes with greater impact. As we have a few minutes, I'd like to tell you a story of another idea. When I came to Dakota State University, I conducted a quick assessment of the current state of the institution, and I considered what would be needed to ensure its long-term sustainability. I quickly realized that we have deep roots in education, growing strength in health informatics, and we're among a handful of leaders in the computer science cybersecurity arena. However, I also saw vulnerabilities for the long term. So working with our faculty and leadership, we plotted a course of future growth and enhancement through a master academic planning process and the establishment of the Madison Cyber Labs, which we all know as Mad Labs. The vision for the Mad Labs took off like a booster rocket with interest and early support from a wide variety of stakeholders. It was December 23rd, 2016, and Don and I were back in Rhode Island for the holidays. I'd been working to finish some projects and, gasp, had actually just caught up with all my emails. It was about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and I sat down in my favorite spot in the house with a cup of coffee and a crossword puzzle when the phone rang. Hello, Jose Marie, this is Dennis Dugard. Not the call I was ever expecting. The governor told me he thought things were going well at Dakota State, and he wanted me to develop a proposal. And he asked me, in effect, to think about, perhaps to dream, what a significant gift would do for us. And then he asked for a response in a week, so they were my vacation. I thanked him and said I'd get back to him, and then I sat down with my coffee. I didn't ever get to that crossword. My mind was just, well, I think boggled might be the appropriate word. But the next day, the dreaming started. And the first draft of a proposal was sent to Governor Dugard on December 30th. Fast forward to March 19th, 2017. The governor, accompanied by Senator Mike Rounds, traveled to Arizona to present an updated proposal to Mr. Denny Sanford. And now today, with the greatest pleasure, I can announce that Dakota State University is once again the recipient of a major gift from Miles and Lisa Beacom and Denny Sanford in the amount of $30 million. This gift will lift Dakota State University to its next level of accomplishment. DSU will rise from a highly recognized leader in cybersecurity education to the nation's leading institution. It will lift us to perform cutting-edge applied research and development in all areas related to the growing cyber-enabled world. It will significantly boost the number of student scholarships we can provide. It will lift our ability to hire more faculty and staff and launch new, relevant academic programs. It will ensure the construction of advanced and secure facilities to house the Madison Cyber Labs, the MAD Labs, as a unique and differentiating resource for Dakota State. And it will support our intent to bring next-generation, high-speed, high-capacity 5G networking to Madison, Sioux Falls, and eventually the entire state so that we can work to help secure the connectivity of a multitude of devices, home security systems, autonomous vehicles, and the kinds of things we've just heard from Mark. And while this gift is focused on cyber programs, it's also a validation of the work of this entire institution and all of its endeavors and participants, past, present, and future. We're so grateful that Miles and Lisa Beacom and Denny Sanford are clearly people who see possibilities as reflected in this transformational gift to DSU. They are individuals to whom not only does the future belong, but to whom the future will be forever indebted. And now, Governor Dugard and Senator Mike Rounds, I'd invite you to please come up and fill in some of the gaps in the story.
Well, I know the clouds have come out, but the future's so bright I've got to wear shades. Let me begin by adding my thanks to Denny Sanford and to Miles and Lisa Beacom. Their generosity has built this building, and now they're doing even more, so much more, to build the Mad Labs building, to provide sensitive, compartmentalized information facilities, to undertake top secret data analysis and develop and train our nation's best cybersecurity specialists, so important to our nation. Thank you so much, Denny. Thank you, Miles and Lisa. Of course, this isn't the first time we've seen Denny Sanford's generosity. He's one of the most generous men in America, and so many have benefited from his gifts. So many. Gifts to healthcare, to children, to education, to science. The list goes on and on. Well over $1 billion in philanthropy. And if you've ever been involved in asking Denny, now he calls me a pickpocket, But I'll tell you, if you've ever been involved in asking Denny for a gift, get ready, because he'll ask you right back. And you know, he always uses his generosity to encourage others to do just as much. And he knows how to negotiate. After he heard our pitch that Sunday in Arizona, he turned to me and said, "Well, Dennis, if I decide to do this, how much can the state do?" And I said, "Well, Denny, things at the state are pretty tight these days, but let me see what I can do." And I later told him, and I want to announce today, that I am committing the state to add an additional $10 million to the $30 million that Denny and Lisa are giving. And of course, I wasn't the only guy in the room that Denny knew. So Denny turned to Mike Rounds and said, "Well, now what are you going to do, Senator?" And now, as you may know, our federal budget situation's a little more complicated than at the state level, and Senator Rounds doesn't control a fund like the Future Fund, as governors do, which can be used for research and development. Still, we agreed that Dakota State University would work hard, and we would help them over the next 5 years to qualify and earn at least $20 million in federal funds toward advancing Dakota State University's mission in cyber. And I think we can do it. So that's $30 million from Denny and Miles, $10 million from the state, and $20 million from the federal government, for a total of $60 million for Dakota State University. That is something. I want to say a special thanks to Senator Mike Rounds, my good friend, for his help to advance my understanding of the challenge of cybersecurity and for helping describe the opportunity to meet this challenge. As you may know, Senator Rounds is the chair of the U.S. Senate Armed Services Subcommittee on Cybersecurity. If anyone knows, he does. He is especially well situated to understand the threats we face as a nation and the importance of defending against them. Senator Rounds.
And just as I step up, the sun comes out and everybody says, "Okay, come on, let's get going with this thing." Look, today's announcement strengthens Dakota State University's role as a leader in cybersecurity. I congratulate and thank all involved, including Governor Dugard and the state, for their continued commitment to DSU, the faculty and students at DSU who foster an environment for which top-notch cyber education can continue, and of course, the generosity of Denny Sanford and Miles and Lisa Beacom, whose belief in DSU's mission has led to today's investment in its future. As you may know, 2 of our 17 national science labs are named for Ernest O. Lawrence, but many people don't know that he grew up in Canton, South Dakota. Ernest Lawrence graduated from the University of South Dakota in 1922. He created the idea of the cyclotron, the atom smasher, at the University of California, Berkeley in 1929, and was awarded the Nobel Prize in Physics in 1939. His brother, John Lawrence, graduated from the University of South Dakota in 1926 and Harvard Medical School a few years later. He joined his brother at Berkeley and is known as the father of nuclear medicine. Unfortunately, both Ernest and John had to leave South Dakota to do what they wanted to do. But now, with the creation of the Sanford Laboratory, more and more students won't need to leave South Dakota. They will be able to stay in South Dakota and work at the Sanford Lab. Today, we are celebrating because Denny Sanford and Miles and Lisa Beacom are making the same thing happen right here in Madison with the Beacom Institute of Technology and the new Sensitive Compartment Information Facility. Our young people who earn degrees in cybersecurity or related fields will be able to work directly on national security and cybersecurity issues without having to leave home. It's estimated that 85% of DSU students leave the state after graduation. This new facility will change that. And now Madison will have the capabilities to play a vital role in cybersecurity, which is so crucial to our national security today. As recent events have shown, the U.S. is not immune to cybersecurity attacks by hostile foreign actors. Cyber is the newest, most sophisticated form of attack threatening our national security with serious potential consequences. The military references the domains of warfare: land, sea, air, space, and cyber. It is the fifth domain. All other domains are dependent upon our dominance in this fifth domain. I'm a member of the Senate Armed Services Committee, as Governor Dugard has indicated, and 4 weeks ago, our committee unanimously passed the National Defense Authorization Act for the year 2018. How often do Republicans and Democrats do anything unanimously? This year, the NDAA authorized an additional $1.1 billion for offensive and defensive cyber capabilities across the armed forces. That's billions with a B. The defense bill we passed out of committee also includes a version of legislation which we introduced with Senator Tim Kaine of Virginia called the DoD Cyber Scholarship Program Act. You heard about that earlier. I'm optimistic with this provision, it will be signed into law, and it will expand a successful DoD-specific cybersecurity scholarship program. The National Science Foundation's Cyber Corps Scholarship for Service program, which you've also heard about, has also increased significantly in funding from $45 million, which was last year, to $55 million this year. Dakota State University can benefit from this successful cybersecurity scholarship program that pays for a student's tuition in exchange for joining the federal cybersecurity workforce. Additionally, at the beginning of the 2017 and 2018 congressional session, the Armed Services Committee added a subcommittee on cybersecurity, of which I have the responsibility of chairing. This marks the first time ever that Congress has a committee or a subcommittee entirely dedicated to cybersecurity. Also, just this last week, the administration has elevated the United States Cyber Command to the status of a unified combatant command. This will strengthen our cyberspace operations by streamlining command and control of the time-sensitive cyberspace operations by consolidating them under a single commander. Today, here in Madison, South Dakota, we are celebrating the future. We are welcoming the future. That's very different than merely trying to predict the future. The next steps are to gain the knowledge and skills to create that best future that we want, and then to make it happen. Now, with the Beacom Institute of Technology and the new Sensitive Compartmented Information Facility, or SCIF, and you're going to hear a lot about SCIFs, our students can learn that special knowledge and those special skills right here in Madison, South Dakota, and then also work here using that knowledge and those skills. I am proud of DSU's role in protecting our nation against cyber threats and look forward to watching the campus continue to play a vital role in our national security operations. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Regent Sutton, I believe you have some additional comments.
Thank you. Well, this has been a historic day here at Dakota State University campus. All I can really say about the latest gift announcement from Denny and the Beacoms is thank you. Once again, a round of applause. That was the first time I had heard the full story about the trip to Phoenix, and I got to thinking, Denny was putting in 30, the senator shows up and commits 20, the governor comes in 10 million. If you ever get invited to a party with those three, bring your checkbook. That's my advice. Your investment today is in brilliant students and faculty who will change the world, and as a result, cannot be measured. Miles and Lisa, Denny, your generosity will make the world our children and grandchildren live in a better and safer place. There is no greater legacy. It is my honor to announce this afternoon the renaming of the Dakota State University College of Computing to the Beacom College of Computer and Cyber Sciences in honor of Miles and Lisa Beacom's generous gift. Beacom College has a nice ring to it, and it will be internationally renowned as a world-class computer and cyber science institution. Thank you, Miles and Lisa.
Thank you very much. And now I'd like to invite Miles and Denny, if you're interested in coming up, but you don't have to because it's up to you. If you want to come up, this would be the time. But Miles, over to you.
How about a round for Denny as he's walking up?
Beacom College, Beacom College, let's hear it. Beacom College, Beacom College.
Wow. Well, Lisa and I are truly honored and humbled to be here today. Thank you on behalf of Lisa, myself, and our entire family. And it is our pleasure to be able to reinvest in the school and state that has meant so much to both of us. You may be wondering, why did Lisa and you commit to this kind of money? Well, that's easy to answer. Dakota State provided me the tools to be successful.
Thank you all, and thank you, South Dakota. Could never have done what he and I and Dana have accomplished in another state other than South Dakota. Everything has worked well. So thank you. But let's hear one more time the chant. Beacom College, Beacom College. What a great ring.
I told you it was going to be a major announcement. It's not very often that people come into our lives and make a profound, life-altering impact. Miles, you and Lisa are that, and Denny, you are that for Dakota State University. Along with Denny, Dana, Dave, and the entire First Premier Bank and Premier Bank Card family, we will be eternally grateful for your unwavering support for this university. Winston Churchill said, "The price of greatness is responsibility." As we accept this gift on behalf of Dakota State, we commit ourselves to not only the new opportunities it creates, but also the new responsibilities it sets before us. With this unprecedented opportunity comes great responsibility. Thanks to the support of all our donors, Dakota State University is now armed with a bolder vision and a stronger resolve. Because of this gift, DSU is rising to the challenge of new possibilities, of new opportunities, of new futures. We are grateful, we are ready, and we are Dakota State University in Madison, South Dakota. And thanks to Miles and Lisa Beacom and Denny Sanford, we are rising. And I'd like to share a video that captures the essence of our future trajectory.
Dakota State University has a clear mission. Provide learning that integrates technology and innovation to develop graduates ready to contribute to local, national, and global prosperity. But as a new day breaks over this quiet Madison campus, a renewed sense of purpose is revealed, armed with a bolder vision, a stronger resolve, and an unprecedented opportunity. DSU has a rendezvous with destiny. From these hallowed halls, a new generation of leaders will rise up. They will be highly trained, better prepared, and armed with the knowledge and experience to do what must be done to make our country, our world, a better, safer place. It's a new era at DSU. and we are rising. This is the dawn of a new era at Dakota State University, thanks to generous gifts from philanthropists Miles and Lisa Beacom and Denny Sanford. Our donors' support means a new force will rise from this South Dakota campus, ready to meet the demands of our changing world. Here at the new Beacom College of Computer and Cyber Sciences, a cyber workforce will be equipped with the knowledge and skills they will need to tackle the unique challenges of a technological world. These amazing gifts will also provide for additional student scholarships, new programs, and more faculty and staff. The Beacoms and Sanfords' support mean Dakota State University will also rise in its national visibility and reputation, creating an unprecedented opportunity for DSU and the state of South Dakota. Dakota State University will rise from a highly recognized leader in cybersecurity education to the nation's best cyber institution. DSU currently holds 4 prestigious Center of Excellence designations from the National Security Agency and Department of Homeland Security, including the most technical for cyber operations and the most prestigious as a Cyber Defense Consultative Regional Resource Center, one of only 4 in the nation. It's also the only university in the country selected by the NSA for military and civilian employees to complete their associate's, bachelor's, or graduate degrees in cybersecurity and computer science. Advanced and secured facilities will house Madison Cyber Labs, or MAD Labs, which will bring together students, graduates, and researchers to work on classified and proprietary projects. MAD Labs will also work as an economic development incubator that will attract cutting-edge companies, high-paying jobs, and more tax revenue to the state of South Dakota. As technology continues to improve our lives, the threat of cyber attacks will also grow. But we can take comfort in knowing that from this quiet campus, men and women are rising up to meet that challenge. Thanks to the generous support of the Beacoms, Sanford, and all our donors, more cyber professionals will be expertly prepared and highly skilled, standing ready to protect and defend our world. We are grateful, we are ready, and we are rising. We are Dakota State University.
Thank you very much. You've all been very patient in the hot sun. It's my whole binder has melted onto the podium. It's that hot. So, ladies and gentlemen, as we close this more formal part of today's celebration, I'd like to ask all of you to rise up and demonstrate the DSU and Madison community's thanks to our donors and all those who have brought us to this point in history. This is a day that all of us present are likely to remember for the rest of our lives. Today is the dawn of a new era for DSU, an era that started with the opening of the Beacom Institute of Technology and the newly named College of Computer and Cyber Sciences. Thank you all for joining us on this historic occasion. The new and renovated buildings are open for self-guided tours. Barbecue is being served over there, and we hope you'll all join us for a great concert by rapidly rising country star Jake Owen and his guest Hunter Phelps. So let's party.